Super Smash Bros. Is one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time, and one of my favorite aspects about each Smash entry is how well represented each series has, from characters, stages, music, and even extras like items or trophies. Most of the series that are in Smash are handled pretty well. But of course, it's not all perfect. There are some series that are lacking in a lot of areas. A prime example that I would argue, or if you want me to be more cliche, Sonic's entire series is a lot of missed potential, from having like 2 stages that are too similar to each other, a character that has a basic moveset, and of course the only remix that was in Brawl, which was a decade ago. Yeah, safe to say Sonic doesn't really have the best representation in the world, but this video is not about Sonic. Trust me, I could go on and on about how Sonic is one of the worst represented series, but no. I'd argue that there is one other series that people often overlook, and the only ones that would really point out these flaws are actually people that are more closely associated with the series itself. The series I'm talking about is none other than the Pac-Man series. Being that Bandai Namco has developed Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate, it's no surprise that one of gaming's icons would actually be able to participate in the brawl. However, when you take a look at the Pac-Man series, you'll come to realize that Pac-Man's representation is surprisingly lacking. And you wouldn't think otherwise because it seems like Pac-Man has a lot more representation going on front thanks to the various Namco assets used. You know, music and items and such. While I do agree with that, it also feels more sense to put them in the miscellaneous category because they're not directly tied to Pac-Man. Some would go as far as to say that the entire Pac-Man series is also a tribute to Namco's entire history, which I do have to agree on, especially when you consider there are some items and even music that appeared in Pac-Man, but as a Pac-Man series, like just Pac-Man by itself, it's a lot more lacking than you might expect. Some of you might be thinking, how is it so? I mean, Final Fantasy doesn't have a lot going on for it up until Sephiroth. Well, that's what this video is about. I'm going to take a brief overview of the entire Pac-Man series in Super Smash Bros. And explain why it's one of the best and worst represented series in the entirety of Super Smash Bros. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go over Pac-Man's entire moveset in this video, but I'm going to at least make some notes as to what aspects about his moveset are represented in his series as well as the Namco series itself. I won't be putting up counters for this, it'll all be totaled up by the end of the video, so keep that in mind. So when talking about Pac-Man's moveset, he is surprisingly a bit more simple than you might expect. But make no mistake, as certain movesets that Pac-Man uses reverts him back to his classic appearance, which is pretty nice. It's a blend of his modern appearance, well at least akin to the World Series, as well as his classic appearance from the arcades. Well, it's a bit of a lie. Contrary to popular belief, Pac-Man's world appearance actually debuted all the way back with Pac-Land. And I bet most of you probably don't know this unless you're a true Pac-Man fan. But even if regardless, this is still one of the more iconic forms of Pac-Man that we see in media today. And it's honestly for the best that Pac-Man's Ghostly Adventures appearance wasn't used. Sakurai didn't even like it. And that's saying something. In the interest of time, I'll also discuss Pac-Man's special moves as they do hold some relevance. For instance, his neutral special summons a roulette of different Pac-Man items, including a Galaga. Not only does it represent Pac-Man well with the fruits and even some random items like keys and a bell, but it also references Galaga, a series that's closely related to Pac-Man as they both crossed over millions of times before. Focusing more on Pac-Man, firstly is his side special, which is, well, I don't know, can you guess it? And his down beat, which is a reference to the fire hydrants in Pac-Land. A random move per se, but you know, it's not that bad. Kind of. His up special does have an interesting origin as it actually originates from Mappy, which is a pretty cool nod, and I'm actually surprised that this was even referenced at all because I didn't know anything about Mappy until now, or at least a couple of months ago. Alongside those, we have a couple of other references in the taunts. More specifically, the most iconic one, the Namco Roulette, which represents every other Namco property, even merging the ones from 3DS and Wii U. A more notable one for the Pac-Man series is his Downtown, which represents the fairies from Pac-Land. Huh, that's twice from Pac-Land. This might be telling of the future. Oh well, let's focus on the alternate costume. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's safe to say that Pac-Man's alts are one of the worst in the entire series. In fact, I'd go as far to say he's actually worse than Sonic. I mean, at least Sonic has different colors. Pac-Man's alts are so minimal that it's kind of hard to differentiate. The only ones that are at least acceptable is his 8th alt, which is kind of cute, and his 1st alt, which is mostly because it actually pulls up a reference to the power shoes from Pac-Land. Again, that's 3 times for Pac-Land. But that doesn't really help matters, as the 7th alt is just uninspired, and the other ones are just the same but a different color. That's kind of disappointing, especially coming from Pac-Man. I get there might be some trouble when coming up with different properties, I suppose, but come on, you could do better, Namco. I mean, it's not like Pac-Man can't have different colors. Pac-Man Battle Royale has different colored Pac-Man, so I don't see the counter-argument in there, unlike something like Pikachu, which I can at least understand. Oh well, at least we have other things like the stages. When it comes to the stages for the Pac-Man series, currently there is only 2, Pac-Maze and Pac-Land. Keeping things in line, we're gonna start with Pac-Maze, and okay, yeah, it's no surprise, but this one's obviously the better stage of the 2. Not only is it the most recognizable one, as it's based on the original arcade game, but the layout is actually pretty solid. It takes a lot of the aspects from the arcade game, like the power pellets and the ghosts, and utilizes them in the battlefield. And even the stage layout is actually decent. It's not the greatest, but it's actually pretty good. So then, why hasn't this stage come back in Ultimate? Well, the common working theory for this one mostly has to do with the power pellets, specifically its function in 3DS. I can see some complications, but there is an easy workaround. Just have different colored outlines. I mean, wouldn't that really be that difficult? In any case, what we got in the end was objectively one of the worst stages in Smash Bros. I mean, honestly, it's actually 75 meters that's the worst, but this is a very close second. Or maybe it actually is the worst. I'll let you be the judge of that. But let's start with the positives for Pac-Land. It's actually pretty faithful to the source material it came from, even including the day and night variants. And sunset. And yeah, that's really about it. The most common complaint I hear a lot about this stage is not only is it one of those auto-scroller stages, but some people don't even know the origins for this exact stage unless they did some research, so they're mostly confused by its appearance alone. Believe me, I've seen a lot of people online say that this looks like an MS Paint drawing, and I don't blame them. It's also really odd as an auto-scroller, as sometimes the stage will actually speed up if you're going to a certain distance, which is weird. I don't know why it's like that, but it's really odd that it happens. But the ironic part about this is that the arcade game is actually pretty solid. This stage is bad, but Pac-Land is actually pretty good. I recommend you guys check it out. It might not be the best platformer, but it's actually miles better than the stage itself. So yeah, the returning stage we got for Smash Ultimate is one of the worst choices, and we didn't get Pac-Maze, so... oh no. Well, in any regard, maybe the extras might help? I don't know, let's see what we're working with here. In Smash 4, we have a total of 15 trophies for the Pac-Man series when combined all, 10 of each for the respective versions, and 2 exclusive ones for 3DS and Wii U. One of the more interesting aspects of other trophies is not only are they cool to look at, but they also hold informational bits that are a lot more interesting to look at. Plus, the trophies that are included are usually more relevant to how important they are to the entire series that they're representing. So when it comes to Pac-Man, well, let's see here. We got the ghosts, that's not surprising. We got some of the fruits, got some Pac-Man trophies, but I'm not really going to count those. There's Pac-Man's house in the Wii U version, there's Pac-Maze in... that's it? I mean, not counting the ones that are from other Namco properties like Galaga, that's really all we have? The most represented that I'd see is both from Pac-Man and Pac-Land. And really? Nothing else? Like, nothing from Pac-Man World or even some of the more obscure titles like Pac-and-Pal? I mean, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. There's only 15 trophies, and, you know, it's not all perfect. I mean, no series is perfect with their first beginnings. So, let's look at Smash Ultimate. I mean, sure has spirits, just, you know, basic PNGs, but, I mean, surely Pac-Man has a lot more going on for— what the hell is this? Okay, I guess we lost 10 on the way. Not to mention, a good majority are still from Pac-Man, with only one thing from Pac-Land. Oh no, that's horrible. Yeah, it's safe to say that the Pac-Man series doesn't really get itself a good bit of representation when it comes to the other aspects like trophies and spirits. But hey, at least we have the music. When focusing on the music for Pac-Man, the most interesting thing about it is actually the Namco music itself. And for what we have, the Namco selection is actually pretty amazing. From the Galaga remix, the Mappy remix, and even some of the Namco retro medleys, these are all fantastic soundtracks. Also, I gotta say, where's Dig Dug? I wanna hear some Dig Dug remix, damn it! Okay, so what about Pac-Man? Oh no. I mean, to be fair, two of them aren't that bad. In fact, they're actually pretty good. I can see why the remakes for Pac-Man's Plaza and Blocktown are used for Pac-Man's trailer reveal. It's so amazing and upbeat. Damn, it makes me want to beat everyone up as Pac-Man. And the Pac-Man remix isn't that great, but you know, I'll let it slide. It's actually a pretty cute tune. The club mix sucks though. I hate it. But again, that's it? Nothing else from the Pac-Man series? Hi, this is future me here. As of the editing of this video, I quickly realized that I didn't really cover a lot of the Namco aspects that are in Smash Bros, so I figured I should probably just speed run through the entirety of what is represented in the Namco selection. So without further ado, let's speed through this. The S-Flag from Rally X is represented as an item, as well as the Galaga item, not only being used as Pac-Man's moveset option, but also as an item as well. Puka from Dig Dug actually makes an appearance in Smash 4 as an enemy in the Smash Run, as well as Bakura, a really odd enemy that actually appears in a different Namco game. Gila appears as a Mii outfit in both Smash 3DS and Wii U, as well as Smash Bros. Ultimate. There are several Namco properties that are referenced in both music and in Pac-Man's Namco Roulette taunt, but I won't be covering those because those should be self-explanatory. Also, this would take forever for me to cover all of them in one go. And there we go, that's all of the Namco represented series in Smash Bros. So yeah, let's get back into the video. You see what I'm getting at? Even though there's a lot good representation for the Namco side of the Pac-Man series, for Pac-Man himself, there's barely anything. At most, the most you'll see out of Pac-Man is representation from both the arcade game and Pac-Land. And at worst, there's barely anything at all to talk about when it comes to Pac-Man as a series. And that's honestly a bit of a shame. Pac-Man could have had so much more, and I don't know why Namco didn't give Pac-Man more representation he needed. I mean, they're the guys that made Smash Bros. With Sakurai. So, what now? Are we just doomed? Are we just stuck with the same old Pac-Man that we've always had since Smash 4? Hopefully not. In fact, I've come up with some solutions to make the Pac-Man series feel a bit more represented, either equal to the Namco side or just better than the Namco side. So let's end the video off on a positive note. For this section, we're going to fix a lot of the major issues that I have with the entire Pac-Man series. For Pac-Man, I don't see any issue with his moveset. As for the stages, I mean yeah, Pac-Man isn't the greatest stage, but it's something. But Pac-Man is just where it's at. In fact, I actually made some concept art for a stage similar to the Pac-Man stage, but more advanced. Here is what I come up with for a potential new Pac-Man stage. Based on the Championship Edition series, the stage will take on a neon aesthetic similar to the Championship Edition games, and on occasion, the hazard will be the trail of ghosts that are running away from Pac-Man as he is there to chomp them all down. I feel like this stage would be actually great. I mean, especially for a modern take of Pac-Man if it ever came to Smash Bros. At least that's what I think anyway. What do you guys think about this concept? As for spirits, since it seems like we're not going to get any trophies anytime soon, I can only think about a couple of them, but the ones I'd like to see the most would actually be the following: Professor Pac-Man, Talkman, Orson, Spooky, including some even more obscure picks like Mel, Crystal, and I don't know, that one furry from Pac-Man Party? What the fuck? But I can't ignore the elephant in the room. You all saw this coming if you're a true Pac-Man fan, or at least know the messy circumstances. Miss Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man's history is way too complicated to explain, and even if I could, this would take all day, so let's just say she's in the hands of a very notorious company. But surprisingly, despite the acquisition, Miss Pac-Man actually did appear in Smash Bros. As a form of a pixel form in Pac-Land. Now, it's safe to say that if this stage ever returned, because God knows it might, she would obviously be replaced with Pac-Mom. And we all know how the community feels about Pac-Mom. But honestly, if Miss Pac-Man wasn't in Purgatory Hell, I'd actually put her as an alternate costume for Pac-Man. You know, kind of like Olimar and Alf in a way. So, it sucks that it has to be this way, that Miss Pac-Man's just kind of stuck in purgatory for, I guess, for until the end of time, but it is what it is, sadly. Speaking of alternate costumes, since I glanced past that for some reason, we'll actually focus on that now. There are two potential ways I can see this going, but the one I'm more in favor of is actually a combination of both colored alts and costumes. So, for colors, we can just use the Pac-Man Battle Royale colors since they're the most easiest to use, and they also align themselves a little bit more with the team colors for Smash Bros, which doesn't really apply anymore, but screw it, I like consistency. As for costumes, I can actually think of a few. For our first costume, Pac-Man will still use his second alt from Smash Ultimate, however he'll also wear a hat to better represent his appearance in Pac-Land. Some better variety, I suppose. The next one could be him wearing a professor hat, which represents Professor Pac-Man. The next one could have him wear a boy's hat representing Pac-Boy or Junior Pac-Man. Yeah, I'm just gonna call him Junior Pac-Man. And as for the last alt, it'd be really amazing if we get a turn to blue version of Pac-Man that the Ghost will take on if Pac-Man eats a Power Pellet. I don't know, this always looked really cool to me, and this would honestly be perfect for Pac-Man's alt if nothing else comes out of this idea. And lastly, the last segment is actually the reason why I wanted to make this video for so long. For those that don't know, I used to make videos for Pac-Man stages that uses the Pac-Man music that aren't available in Smash Bros. And they aren't exactly mods either, they're just simple edits. I figured to close off this entire small little thing that I've been doing since 2020, I believe, I decided to combine all of these ideas into just this segment. As of now, there are only 3 songs available for Pac-Man, but we can expand on that a little bit more. Personally, I'd like to see music come from the Pac-Man World Series, Championship Edition, and even some of the more obscure titles. I'm not going to be saying which ones, but I'll at least share a couple of them that I think would sound perfect for Pac-Man and Smash Bros. So without further ado, enjoy this small mini montage. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I've always wanted to make a Smash Bros video for so long, but as you might expect, video ideas for Smash Bros are very sparse in between nowadays. But since I'm slowly becoming a Pac-Man fan myself, it gives me an opportunity to not only discuss about Pac-Man on this channel, but also discuss about the circumstances this guy has been in Smash Bros. Do you guys agree with my statements, or do you think there could be more that could be expanded upon? Let me know down in the comments below, and as always, remember that Stu cares about you.